What's up, YouTube, and what's up, Raider Nation? I'm sorry I missed last week's preview and recap of our loss to the Lions. It was a tough loss, and I had a whole bunch of stuff going on this week. Plus, it was Thanksgiving, but I'm back, and I'm ready to talk about my reaction to the Raiders gutting one out against the Tennessee Titans. And before I go into a deep analysis of the game, I want to give credit to Reggie McKenzie for actually keeping Tony Bergstrom on the roster, because I was one of those people in the Raider Nation who was saying, you know what, why is this guy still on the roster? He doesn't have any kind of role, and he's not really good at anything. But Rodney Hudson went down, and Tony Bergstrom has actually filled his shoes pretty admirably. I mean, he's not quite the dynamic center that Rodney Hudson is, but he's been making the right protection calls. He hasn't been getting blown by a lot. So I'll give that man credit for finding a niche on this team, and I give credit to Reggie McKenzie for not actually pulling the trigger too fast. Now, let's talk about this game, because it was a great win, but I felt that we should have won this game easily. I mean, the turnovers were just a huge issue. Ross having the turnover on special teams, and Derek Carr having a turnover late in the game for a fumble snap. Those really kind of propelled the Titans. They actually gave Titans new life. But I'm gonna go beyond that, because obviously turnovers are a huge part of the game, or any game rather. But I want to go beyond that, because for the whole third quarter, I felt that Bill Musgraves got way, way too conservative, because it's one thing to stick with the run. I understand that, and some people might say he was just sticking with the run, but I felt he got too conservative and he wanted to run out the clock. We were only up by, I believe, 10 points at that time, and that's not enough to just say, hey, let's downshift and let's run the clock out. I mean, I thought Bill Musgrave should have put the game in Derek Carr's hands. I mean, honestly, he's an up and coming quarterback, and yes, he's had some mistakes in the previous games, throwing interceptions in the end zone, but in the red zone. But you can't handicap your quarterback, especially if he's a quarterback of the future. And I thought the reason the game was so close, besides the turnovers, was because of the play calling. Derek Carr was obviously in a rhythm. Why would you take him out of the game? And I like I said earlier, people want to say, oh, he was just trying to stick with the run and run out the clock. Okay, I understand the concept, but Latavius Murray wasn't getting the yards. They were stacking the box. So why would you keep hitting your head against the wall? Put the game in the quarterback's hand. Let him evolve. Let him put the team on his back like he's done so many times in this season. So I thought that was a real issue in the game. That's why the game really got closer than it should have been, because we really should have won this game by 2 or 3 touchdowns. But I thought the play calling was way too conservative. Another thing, I want to give credit to the coaching staff. And people have been calling for this for the last couple of weeks, but putting David Amerson in the starting lineup over DJ Hayden was a great move. Now, I was one of those people who said, DJ Hayden, you got to give him time because he hasn't played a lot and he's had a lot of injuries. But David Amerson put on a show yesterday. He put on a show. I mean, he had 6 pass defenses. He had an interception. He was very active in the secondary, and actually, I thought he had a better game than T.J. Carey, who's widely considered throughout the Raider Nation and the beat writers as the best cornerback for the Oakland Raiders. So, kudos to them finally realizing that David Amerson should be starting, and I will admit that I was wrong and giving DJ Hayden a long leash. And I'm going to give them kind of a pass on why they took so long to actually insert David Amerson into the starting lineup over DJ Hayden. Because when you invest a first round pick in any player, you don't want to rattle that person's confidence who's already has shaky confidence to begin with. So I thought they tried to actually just kind of help him along, have the kid gloves, if you will, and it their treatment of DJ Hayden hasn't really paid dividends yet in terms of on the field play. So I understand why it took so long. Some people will say, why did we insert David Emerson in the lineup like 4 weeks ago? I understand why, but I'm glad they did it for this game because he is putting on a show. And actually, honestly, ever since we picked him off of waiver wires from the Washington Redskins, he's been playing solid. I mean, the only game he really had a bad game against was the Pittsburgh game against Antonio Brown. And Antonio Brown, well, he's going to beat a lot of players. He's going to beat a lot of DBs. So I really don't hold that against David Emerson, but he's been pretty solid. The numbers speak for themselves. I believe it was Josh Dubois. I think that's his name. Saying that he gave up a stat that David Emerson has had more pass breakups and more interceptions and less games with the Raiders than DJ Hayden. So the numbers speak for themselves. DJ Hayden, I hope he finds his confidence. I hope he finds his groove sometime in the season. But right now, kudos to the coaching staff for putting David Emerson, who's putting on a show right now, and is flying mile high in terms of his confidence at the cornerback position. Give him credit for actually seizing the moment and taking full advantage of him starting, because I think now he's going to be the solid starter. And I said before, actually, in the offseason, that DJ Hayden probably is better suited for the nickel corner. I don't think he's an outside corner. I mean, he has the potential to be, but I think right now he's better suited for the nickel. So I hopefully he can get back into the lineup, because Nico Thorpe he actually had a bad game. I'm not going to lie. He had a bad game. So hopefully that kind of shakes out for the rest of the season. But I want to also give credit to Seth Roberts, because he's been consistent, but today I really felt he had last Sunday, he had a really, really great breakout game, and he is becoming more of an impact, and I love to see that, because he was an undrafted free agent. He had a good camp last year, but he ended up going to the practice squad. This year, he actually gets to go to the actual real squad, the 53-man roster. So kudos to him. He has been huge this entire season, but this is really where the spotlight's on him. He had over 100 yards of receiving yards on 6 receptions. So give him credit. Hopefully he can build on this performance and be a more integral part of the offense. And kudos to Amari Cooper, who had a really bad game against the Lions. I believe he had 1 or 2 receptions. Actually, I think he had 1 reception. And he really had a subpar game last week against the Lions. But this game, he stepped back. He came back and really put on a show. Crabtree had a great touchdown catch. And Derek Carr, he had a bounce back game, because for the last 2 weeks, I felt that he was really kind of shaky. He wasn't really his normal self in terms of offensive output. Like, because before the last 2 games, he was really putting on a show. He had 4 or 5 touchdowns, over 250 yards passing. But the last 2 games, he kind of was shaky. This game, he really came back. He didn't throw any interceptions. I mean, he had turnovers in terms of the botched snap. But I thought he was really good. The offensive line played well. So this is really a game that we had to win, and you saw that kind of desperation / resiliency, because even when the Titans came back, I felt there was no panic throughout this team, and that's really the mark of a good team pushing through, because in years past, the Raiders would always lose these type of games. They would start off really well, they would have a lead, and all of a sudden we blow it in the fourth quarter. This time, there was no panic. Derek Carr was pumping up his teammates, and the team really rallied around him, and they made plays. Seth Roberts got the game-winning touchdown, which was a great catch, I thought. Amari Cooper had a great catch on that last drive. And the defense, for the last 3 games, the defense has really let us down. But Khalil Mack had 2 sacks. He was really energized for this game. I saw great explosiveness from him. I know he's been hampered by a growing and maybe a hamstring, but he was a force. Mario Edwards Jr. was a real force, and the cornerback play outside of Nico Thorpe was pretty solid. And I gotta give credit to Nate Allen. I thought he was really shaky when he first came back in Week 10 against the Vikings, but now he's starting to get into a groove. He's starting to be more consistent in terms of tackling and positioning, and he had the game clinching interception. So kudos to him, and hopefully we can build on this because I don't want to say we're out of the playoffs, but we have a chance to be in the playoff picture, especially with how things shook out last Sunday. The Seahawks winning and the Broncos, not the Broncos, but the what was their name? The Steelers losing. We got an issue with the Chiefs. We have to win both our games against the Chiefs, because if we don't, then it's pretty much hard to get that wild card spot. But we're still in a position to make the playoffs, and this team has got to take a 1-0 approach. And they said that in the post game press conference. Say, hey, we want to go 1-0 this weekend, and next week we got to go 1-0 again. So I like the adjustments that we made, putting David Emerson in. I like how finally Bill Musgraves, when the game was really close, he said, hey, Derek Carr, put the offense on your back and make those throws. Offensive line has played well. Latavius Murray, hopefully he can get on track for this upcoming game, which is a huge game. I'll do a preview game for that probably tomorrow or the day after. But for right now, this is a huge game. Hopefully this sets us on a win streak where we can win 5 games in a row. So hopefully this is it. Hopefully we can push through and have conversations about playoff talks more concretely in the upcoming weeks. Hopefully around week 15, we'll still have something to fight for. So that's my analysis for the game. The offense did really well. Just a quick recap: offense did really well when it mattered most. The defense was opportunistic. They still have some things to touch up. Hopefully, when we get Neron Ball back, that will help our linebacking core. Hopefully, the defensive line can generate more pressure because Khalil Mack can't do it by himself. And cornerback play is still the biggest issue. So hopefully, Nico Thorpe and DJ Hayden can bounce back and be motivated to have great performances down the home stretch. And honestly, people might call me a delusional optimistic, but I feel that we can be really competitive this year and actually make the wild card. But the team has to realize that for themselves. So, once again, those are my thoughts on the game, my reactions to the game. Let me know what you think. Do you think we beat a bad team and we were supposed to win this game, but we're probably going to lose every other game? Let me know. Or what else do we have to work on to be a playoff team for this year? Obviously, we can't bring in free agency yet, but what else do you think we can tinker with in terms of the defense to make us more competitive for the home stretch? Please leave comments and/or suggestions. And once again, thank you for watching. And please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Literate Sports Show. Thanks again for watching, Raider Nation, and thanks again for watching YouTube viewers.